What is up, you guys? Welcome back. It's been a long time, but it feels good to be back behind the camera. Today we're going to be working on the 350Z, doing a quick little mod for it before we take it out to the track and go drifting for the first time this weekend. But before we do that, I'm going to switch the Z from the small garage over here to the big garage where the wagon is, so I'm going to get those flipped around real quick. All right, got the cars all moved around. I figured you guys would enjoy some cold starts on both those cars. I just love them both so much. And I haven't seen the Z in about a month and a half. It's been in storage since I got back from California. So it's good to see this car. Now, if you're new to the channel, I picked up this 350Z after selling my 240 project because I just wanted to learn how to drift, have something that was simple, reliable, and I could actually enjoy on the street rather than having the gutted out cage car that I was building. So long story short, bought this car a little over a year ago and haven't got to go drifting. Things just didn't line up. Every time there was a drift event down in California, I was working that weekend or something and the stars just didn't align. But we are 4 days out from our first drift event with the 350Z and I am unbelievably stoked. So today we're going to be doing an essential drift mod for the 350Z. All right, so today we're going to be installing this Bell Raceworks 350Z Diff Brace. If you guys are familiar with this chassis, the stock diff only bolts through the subframe with one bolt. So the moment you do a few too many clutch kicks, you're having a real fun time with the boys, diff goes boom and your day's over. We definitely don't want that happening this weekend when we go out for our first track day, so I'm gonna be getting this installed. It's a relatively cheap piece. I think it's like 128 bucks plus shipping from Z1 Motorsports. So it's a really cheap thing to do to prevent you from cutting your day short out at the track. And just check out how beautiful this piece is. So the kit comes with the brace, all the hardware you need. As you can see, it's only 3 bolts, so in theory it should go on pretty easily. But first we need to go ahead and jack this rear end up in the air, throw some jack stands under it or get up on some ramps. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And boom, it's done. So we're gonna go ahead and get under the car, pull out the bolts that need to be taken out and start getting this brace on. Mounted up, you can see it's gonna mount just like that. So it's gonna use these 2 existing bolt holes on the diff here with just longer bolts. So we're gonna break those loose. And then there's a pre-existing hole up here that's gonna have a nut and bolt combo on that. So it'll mount up just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these 2 bolts off here, get those mounted in, and then we'll start dealing with the one up top. Ignore what I said earlier, we're actually gonna do this bolt up top first. I think it just makes the most sense to get that one on before we deal with these guys. So there's one bolt here that uses a 19mm hex head. It's got a little sleeve that goes through there, as well as a washer. So we're gonna wanna make sure that washer is there, and then the sleeve is gonna go through that hole. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount these up real quick. And it would probably make sense to put the sleeve on after I put the bolt through the brace. Feed that through there, put the sleeve on. Perfect. Now I've got that through there, and again we've got a washer and then a nut that goes on the back. I'm gonna get those tightened down. And I don't want to go too tight on this guy because I want to make sure that I can get those bottom 2 that go into diff lined up as well. So in a not so unusual turn of events, the supposedly simple install is becoming a little more difficult. When I have this bolt in here and this bolt in here, the one into this mount here is not quite lining up. So I'm going to pull this one out and see if by chance the bottom 2 line up, or if maybe there's an issue with this particular brace. I don't want to lose that piece in there. So we're going to take that off. It seems like they line up. Let's throw some bolts in there and check. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out, because I can't put that sleeve in from the back, that's the only problem. But I think what I'll do is I'll take one of these off so I can spin this thing down, put that sleeve that goes in the middle in, and not tighten that bolt down at all, because that's going to be the last one we want to do, it appears, to make sure that we get those tightened in properly. All right, I cannot tell you why, but that worked, fortunately. Everything's lined up, so I'm gonna go ahead and torque these guys down. I've seen mixed numbers as far as what they need to be torqued down, ranging from 32 foot-pounds to 36. I'm gonna start with 32 because I'd rather not deal with a stripped hole. With these bolts loosely in place here, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting them tightened down just with a socket, just till they're kind of snug, and then we'll torque them from there. These guys use a 17 on the bottom too. And then up here is a 19, as I mentioned earlier. So just trying to get that snug. Pull it right up there. Let's see if I can do this from the side. Perfect, those two are snug. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the washer and nut on the end of this guy up top here. Hope that still lines up nicely for us. All right, so with that back on, we're gonna do the same thing up here, get that one snug down, and then we'll get everything torqued into place. So I'm gonna grab the torque wrench here and then get these two guys torqued down. I've seen mixed numbers on what you wanna torque them to, ranging from 32 to 36. Given that I don't wanna strip any threading out, I'm gonna start with 32, see how it feels. You can usually get a good idea of whether or not it's in there pretty well. So yeah, those are two 17s, torque them to 32 foot-pounds. You can go ahead and do that real quick. And just like that, the brace is installed. It's really that easy. Got these two torqued down. This one didn't have a torque spec on it, but because it's a nut with a bolt on the other, or it's a bolt with a nut on the other side, I don't think a super specific torque spec is necessary. As long as it's tight on there, it's gonna be doing its job. So it's really that easy, 3 bolts, guys. So with the new diff brace on, I think the only proper way to test that is some burnouts. I think you guys would agree. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the 350Z out, take it back to Mexico, test it out, and then we'll wrap this thing up.